All analysis feature windows in Optic Studio work in essentially the same way, with one slight exception that we'll come on to. Here I'm showing an RMS versus field plot, and you'll see that I can show this data in graph, text, or classic view. And classic view is simply the drawing routines that were used in older versions of ZMax. All of these windows work the same way. I have settings here that I can use to control the actual data that's being computed. And so if you see here, some of this data just looks a little bit undersampled. So I'm going to increase the sampling, and you'll see that the window automatically updates. I think I'll increase the sampling just a little bit higher. There we go, that's nice and smooth. That gives me the data that I want to see, and any time that I need to do it, I can just come down here and look at settings. Let me just make this a little bit larger, and you'll see that directly within the window I can select which data sets I want to show. I can even take them all off if I want to, which is a little bit silly. But I can choose exactly what it is that I want to see, and I can come up to any given line. Just notice how it darkens slightly, and when it darkens I can choose to insert a data marker, and that then shows me the value of the data point at that point. I can use right mouse click, reset zoom, and I can rescale this chart on the fly. If I just click on the value here 1 and pull this down, you'll see the data rescales. I'll pick up here on this value of 0.25 and pull it down. The data scales again. I'll just pull this back up again. So I can rescale this data really easily. I can zoom in on it as much as I want, and it gives me a really powerful way of looking at all this data. I can also go to text and get just the parts I want out and copy paste out into Excel, or can get everything out. I go to classic, and that gives me the classic view, which I won't go into. In addition to the settings, I've got controls up here for update, copy, save, print. I can provide annotations to the window. I can lock the window so that it cannot update. I have an active cursor so that I can see the data values as I scroll along. And I've got the ability to clone to make another copy of the window, and I can set the aspect ratio of the window. The one exception is the shaded model view, which also has a series of additional controls for looking at cutting planes and such like in the window. But that's a slightly different capability. Again, on settings here, instead of using a ring, I'll use a Y fan of rays, and then as I scroll this through, you can see there rays and the cutting section through here. I can take that cutting section off, can rotate this around fully with the mouse, and I can cut it in XY, XZ, YZ, and so on.